Hi everyone, today I'm going to go over a new feature or an update to a feature that we just added today that I think a lot of you will be excited about because I have had a lot of users request something like this over the years. So what it is actually the ability to create additional versions of the different forms that we have in the system, meaning the forms, like the registration form, the payment form, and the lead form. I think really it's going to be used most often probably for the lead form, but you can also, create additional versions of the other two forms as well. So I'm just going to go through kind of how to set that up, how it will work, things like that. Now first, you can set this up in two different locations depending on what type of user you are as far as what access you have, and also the needs that you have for this particular feature. So for owners or admin users, you can set these up for the entire agency by going to settings and system settings and company settings. I'm just going to open in a new tab, and you're going to end up going in here to manage API form fields. But before we do that, I'm going to show you just kind of the standard trip leads form that we have on the demo account. So this would be like a request info form that I could have on a website, and if clients are interested or you want to direct them to this to kind of gather up some initial information on what they're looking for, you can have them fill out this form. And for a long time this has been customizable, meaning you can add, and especially probably down in here, if you wanted to add more questions or things that you needed to gather from your clients, you could always do that. The problem was you couldn't get very specific with that. Like, for example, if I wanted to ask a question that only applied to people going on a cruise, it didn't make sense to have that on this form at all times, because you may book other things, land bookings, um, things like that, Disney bookings, where the cruise questions don't really apply. Or if there's a question that you only ask to people who are traveling on a, say, family vacation versus a honeymoon or an anniversary trip or whatever, again, it didn't really make sense to add specific questions like that. So you'd have to tell clients, just ignore this because it doesn't apply to you. Now you don't have to do that, because you could create several different versions of this form and then just direct your client to the one that you want them to fill out based on what type of trip they have, or what they're booking, or where they're going, or things like that. So like I said, this is the original one. And then back here to your settings page, if I click manage API form fields, one other thing we did is we cleaned it up so that the links for those are in this page. They used to be on this page here, but now we put them in here, where you can just copy the link itself or the embedded link if you want to copy the code to embed it on a page on your website. That'll be here. But anyway, so here's your three different form settings. So we've got the registration form and the payment form, and then finally the trip leads form. So again, anything I change here will affect only this form here. So this is where you could customize it. Like I added, do you need flights, to that. But let's say I want to create a specific form, let's say just for family vacations, where some of the questions don't apply to other types of trips. So what I could do is I can click manage templates here, and I can say add template, and let's name it something like that. And I'm going to have basically the exact same settings that you saw on the page behind here, where I can select what I want it to show. So let's just go through and check some of these boxes here. And most of these here can probably be added because they're pretty generic, but it's mainly when you get into here, the custom fields, where you might want to get specific. So I'm just going to kind of make up stuff as I go. So let's add, I don't know, one or two things here. So let's have a question like something like that. And where do I want it on the form to be? Let's put it after the room and cabin type, but before the special requests. And now I could just leave this as a text box where they could type in, yes, I'd like to do this, or maybe you could just go to advanced, and let's make this a radio button, or I could have done a drop down. We'll give them two options, and option 1 would be yes. So the code doesn't really matter. It's just got to be some sort of abbreviation, no spaces, no special characters, no numbers. The description is what is going to show on the form. So that's why I made this all caps and this one not. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. And I don't need to do anything with this unless I wanted it in the copy of the information email that goes out to clients or you if you have that turned on. So I'll just leave this all blank though down here and quick close. And then let's add one more. Let's do a text box for and again, I'm just typing as I go, so you can probably come up with better questions than this. And I'm not going to do anything with advanced here because it's just going to be a text box for them to fill out. But here I'm going to again put it under the room and cabin type. And I'll just click Save Changes. And now that I've got that in there, if I click on Manage Templates, I can edit it, I can delete it, or I can copy the link here. And let's just go in there. And now this is that new form I created. Again, most of it's the same as what I created before, or what I had in there before, but here are those two additional questions where they could say, yes, I am interested, or they can type in here and then submit. And the other thing it does is when they submit that, when it adds the notes in the lead or the trip or whatever form it is, it will put at the bottom which form they filled out. And the reason we added that is because maybe you create a lead form. Let's say you sign up for some sort of marketing with some marketing company, and they're going to do email blasts for you, and maybe you want to create a very specific lead form for that marketing only. When those come in, you want to know where did that come from. So if you created one for whatever marketing company lead form, if you named it something like that with that marketing company's name in there, it will come in the notes. So that's kind of a hint to you that this lead came in from that marketing source. So be sure to name it kind of accordingly so you can tell what it is when it actually comes in. So that's the agency level. So if you're an owner and you have ICs and you want to put these on your website for your agents to all use, you can do that in there. Or even if you're just an agent with no ICs, you can still do it under here. However, some of our accounts are set up more like a host, where the agents under the account are they have their own agency name and their own logos and their own websites, and maybe they want to create their own forms, just for themselves. So they will have typically an option. Let's just collapse everything again so you start from scratch. So when you're on your little menu here, when you click Settings, you will have Manage User API Forms. So anything I put under here, any links that I use from here are specifically for me and me only, or that user that's logged in only. So that's again more like a host setup where you want to create your own for your own website, not necessarily agency-wide like the first situation I gave. We also, while we were at it, we added the embedded codes for these in here because we did not have those originally for the user level forms, but now again you can copy just the direct link or the embedded link, and then it's the exact same situation. You go down here, you click Manage Templates. I went ahead and already added a family vacation lead form testing earlier this morning, so this would be a user level only. So I'm sure all of you can come up with some better examples than that, maybe create them for all different types of trips that you sell, whether it be family vacations, honeymoons, maybe a destination wedding form where wedding couples can fill that out to give you information on what they're looking for their wedding, or any other sort of situation you may need a slightly different form than what you normally use. So give that a try. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, give us feedback, let us know if there's anything else we can add to this to make it easier for you. Thank you.